Hello game design students. I hope everybody's doing real well. I am making this video to show you how to use the turret behavior. This video, it's maybe not going to be the most artistic. It's going to be more about the behavior side of things and a little bit of the coding to use the turret behavior. But the turret behavior is built into Construct, and it allows us to make, basically you can use it with a player sprite, but what we're going to use it for is enemy sprites that actually track a player character and then fire projectiles at the player character. And I'm going to show you guys how to do that. So let's go ahead and jump in here. I have editor.construct.net open. We're going to go ahead and create a new game. You can leave all of this normal as just your 1080 landscape. And you can call this turret game, turret behavior, turret. It doesn't matter. Something like that would be fine. Okay. And we're going to go ahead and click create. And you can see here, okay. Oh, my settings are bad. Okay. Yours should not look like that. I changed something. Let's go SD landscape, 1080 landscape. Okay, there we go. Yeah, close previous project. That's better. I had my orientation changed for a game I was working on earlier, like a phone style game. So the orientation was changed. But here we go. Yours should look like this now. Pretty simple. What we want to do now is we want to go over here to our layers section. And we want to make this layer 0. We're going to rename it to be background. Okay. And then we're going to hover our mouse right here. We're going to right click. We're going to add a layer at the top. And that is going to be our player layer. Okay. So we want to make sure we have both of these layers. What we're going to do first is we're going to lock up the player layer. Okay. Then we're going to go to background. Now here on background, I just want to hover my mouse over here. Just double click. And we're going to add in a new object. And that object is going to be a tiled background. So if we search for tiled, should be the only one that's there, tiled background. And we've used these before in various games. We're going to use them again. It's a very nice way to just fill our background out really easily. So I'm going to choose tiled background. I can just click and select to put that wherever. Okay. And for this one, we're going to make kind of a spaceship type game. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure I have black selected. Now you look at this and you're like, there is no black, Mr. Christensen. It's just various colors. Any of these colors can be black if we make them dark enough. So using this arrow right here, we can slide this all the way over, and now that's black. And I want to use my fill button here. Looks like a little paint bucket. And I just want to click in here and fill that whole thing with black. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to select white. And once again, you're like, none of the colors are white. Again, if we just make them light enough, all of the colors are white. And so I want to go and find my brush tool right here. Okay. And I want to make sure that I have these settings. So a size of 3, hardness of 1, and an opacity of 1. Okay. All right. Then what I can do is I can just click in various places. I didn't like that one that's like streaky. I don't like. So I'm going to Control Z. And I want to kind of make this look like stars kind of thing. Okay? Just easy, right? So we fill it black, do some white dots, and that is going to be our background. Once we're done with that, we can go ahead and click the X. And you'll see here, there's just one little tile of my tiled background. But if I right click it, and I can align it to cover the layout, you'll see now my whole layout looks a little bit like the stars. Okay, that is all we're going to have on our background. So we can go ahead and we can lock up this background layer. And now we can unlock the player layer. So background's unlocked, or background's locked, excuse me, and now player layer is unlocked. What I'm going to do here, we can go ahead and zoom in, and you can see kind of the outline of where our viewport will be. But I want to go ahead and add in my player sprite real quick. So I'm going to just hover my mouse over here. I'm going to double click. Okay, and I need to search for Sprite. I'm going to go ahead and choose Sprite and click Insert, and I can just position it just somewhere here in the viewport. I like it over here on the left side. Okay, and what we are going to draw is we're actually just going to draw a little triangle. Now this is important here. Okay, we need to take our line tool, and you can make this whatever color you want. I like mine to be kind of silverish, so I'm going to choose down here and then make sure I have like a silver gray sort of selected. Okay, gives me a good like spaceship feel. This thickness we can leave as 5 or whatever yours is. It really doesn't matter too much. I'm going to position it up here in the top left. I'm going to hold down the Shift key, and this allows me to draw a real straight line. Okay, So if I hold shift and I drag it straight down, okay, I have a nice straight line. Now what I'm going to do, and you'll see when I do this, I'm going to make this look like an arrow pointing to the right. So once again, I'm going to hold shift, and I'm going to drag my arrow to right about there. And it's kind of just a feel thing as you do this. Okay. You can see here I might have to extend it a little more. I didn't quite make this one long enough. Okay. But we want it to be an arrow that's like touching at the end, like that. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my fill. I'm going to go ahead and fill in that sprite. And it'll leave a little bit of a gap there. It's not perfect. Really what this is we're not trying to make some super artistic sprite. We almost just need a little bit of a placeholder for our spaceship. Okay. If you don't like any of this extra space on here, which I kind of don't, you can go and hit this crop button right here, and it'll just cut it down so there's no real empty space there. Okay. Now, what we need to do is we need to make sure that we have the correct origin points, okay? So we're gonna go here to this image points thing, and our origin, okay, we're actually gonna take this, we're gonna right click, and we're gonna quick assign it to the left, right? And that'll position it right on the left middle. Now this is not gonna have any animations, all right? So we don't need to worry about positioning it to other animations. We're gonna do that right there. Now what we need to do now is add in a second image point. So I'm gonna position my mouse in this empty space. I'm gonna right click, I'm gonna add a new image point. And then I have to click and select where that image point is, and I'm going to put it right here at the tip of the triangle, okay? Just kind of do your best to position that there. And remember, that is our image point 1. We have our origin point, which is 0, right? And I can click and see where that is, and I have image point 1, which is right there at the tip of the triangle. Now, is this hyper important? It is, okay, that you position that correctly. So you might be like, just an image point, what's this for? You will understand here in a few minutes really what it is about, okay? Last thing we're gonna check is our hitbox. So right down here, okay, we're gonna edit our collision polygon. And we're not a big square, we're a triangle, and this has 4 points, whereas a triangle should only have 3 points. So we're just gonna click one of these, click it, hit delete, and then we need to drag this other one and position it so that this collision polygon is around our actual sprite itself. And this is important, so if we get touched by a projectile fired from a turret, we're not losing the game when it just hits over here. We want it to only register when it hits our actual player, okay? So let's go ahead and click the X here. All right, and you can see our sprite is now positioned. Now we never leave the name as just sprite. We're gonna go over here, and I'm just gonna call this player sprite up in the top left. I've renamed it player sprite, and that is important. You can call it whatever you want. You wanna call it spaceship sprite, you wanna call it spaceship, player, I don't care. I call mine player sprite, so it's easy for me to remember. Okay. Now the last thing we're gonna do here is we're gonna add a few behaviors to this spaceship. Okay, so here in our properties panel, let's go down to behaviors and click that, and something should happen. There we go. Must have not clicked it right. Click behaviors, and our player sprite behavior window opens. We're going to add some new behaviors. So let's go ahead and add. And the first thing we're going to add is movement. And the movement we're going to use for this sprite is 8 directions. So if you put in the number 8, it's the only one that starts with 8, so it should be right there. So we're going to click that 8 direction. Okay. We're going to add a couple other behaviors. Let's go to behaviors, add new. We are going to add scroll to. So if we type in scroll, that means the camera will follow our player as it moves. So if it moves out of the viewport, okay, the camera will follow it. So we're going to use scroll to. We're going to add another behavior. All right, and this one's actually just right here under general, just bound to layout. So this makes sure our player can't leave the screen, okay? So let's click bound to layout, okay? So we have these 3 behaviors right here for our player sprite. Now let's go ahead and just play the game and test out some movement. And what happens here is we have our player sprite, and we can move around our space area, okay? And so far, you might say, Mr. Christensen, this game is kind of boring. Well, that's because we're just getting started, okay? But you can flip your ship around, It flips really quick, and you can fly. Now what happens if you try and fly off the screen? Nice and slowly. It can't. This sprite is bound to the layout. You can't leave the screen. Now for me, this is a little slow, so I'm gonna go to my 8 direction behavior, and I wanna turn that speed way up. I'm gonna turn it up to like 800, okay? 200 was just too slow for me. Let's start this up. Yeah, that seems a little bit better. And you can mess with the different values like the acceleration and deceleration and things like that. But for me, I feel like that's good enough, okay? So for this video, that's all we're gonna do right now. We created our tiled background, we created our player sprite. In the next video, we're gonna create some enemy sprites with a turret behavior that fire projectiles at the player, okay? I will see you guys in the next one. Have a good day, bye.